Hey, Bob here. Welcome back to the show, episode 389. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you three of the most common mistakes that I see network marketers and social sellers making when it comes to the conversations that they have in their business, whether they're conversations about products or conversations sharing the business with someone. If you're somebody that's struggling right now to make sales and get recruits, it's most likely because you're falling into one of these three traps. So we're going to break each of the three down with you for today, and I'm going to share with you some very simple but actionable things that you can do to be more effective in your conversations, to make more sales, and to get more recruits for your business. But let's talk about conversations. So there are three big mistakes that I see people making pretty consistently when it comes to conversations. And I'd be curious, depending on where you're listening to or watching this, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'd love for you to just comment below the video. Are you 1, 2, or 3? Which one of these three things best describes you? If you're listening to this on the podcast, I'd love for you to just take a moment to shoot me a message on Instagram and say, hey, I'm 1, 2, or 3. But here are the big mistakes. Number one, most people are way too passive, right? They rely too much on their content to create those easy opportunities to bring people to them, right? Somebody just straight up saying, hey, I'd love to learn more, right? So they're waiting for their content to bring it to them, or they're just waiting for people to come to them and ask them about what they do. And look, over the last couple of years, when I look at 2020 and 2021, this probably wasn't a problem. If you were passive, but you were just posting consistently, people probably were coming to you. But with engagement rates as low as they are now on social media, and the amount of people trying to sell and promote different products and services, this is a plan that is guaranteed to fail. And so when I look at the people that are struggling the most in our programs, it's the people that are too passive. They're not starting conversations consistently. And so I think that's the number one skill that you can develop over the next couple of years to really help you get your business back on track, is to learn how to be starting conversations more consistently in your business. So that's mistake number one. The second mistake that I see, people that are starting conversations, but they're way too transactional in their approach. And so if you're new to our show and what we teach, we define a transactional conversation as either product or price focused. So you're leading with product or price. So we see this a lot, right? You're just, you're within the first couple of sentences of your message, you're talking about your products, you're talking about your business, your comp plan, you're leading with product. And that becomes a big problem because when you're transactional in your approach and you're leading with product, it feels like you're being sold to. And so this is what we like to say, it triggers people's sales resistance. They emotionally shut down. And this is why we see so many people in this profession struggling to get people to respond to their messages. They quickly fall off, they get ghosted because this is what's happening. But when you think of a time of the year like Black Friday, the transactional approach is so dangerous. So you're leading with product or you're leading with price. If you're leading with the amazing deals in your conversations, if you're leading with, hey, are you interested in finding out about what they are? You're leading with price, then you're going to struggle to see success because that's what every single person does. And I get it. You think your product's the best and you think your deal is the best, but in the eyes of your prospect, you're no different than anybody else. This is what everybody does. Everybody leads with product. Everybody leads with price in their conversations. And so if this is what you're doing, this is the reason why you're not seeing results. The third mistake that we see is kind of like in between number one and number two. We see people that just become way too chatty and they never bring their stuff up, right? So they start a conversation and they're engaged in this back and forth, this relationship building, this chit chat, but they don't know how to lead a conversation. They don't know the right questions to ask. They're not clear on how they can help people. And so there's no real direction and the conversation just goes on and on and on and on. and they never have that opening to bring up their stuff. And so what happens is they spend all this time talking to people, but they never actually are talking about what they do. And so obviously you can see why that would be a major problem as well. So I'm curious, are you one, are you way too passive? Are you two transactional? Are you leading with product and price? Or number three, do you just get caught in that chit chat? Leave a comment below, shoot me a message on Instagram, let me know. I'd love to know because I want to make sure that when we're creating our training that we're best addressing your specific needs. And I think the most important one when it comes to conversations is this. It's something that we've created that we teach in our Love, Serve, Grow program. It's a strategy that we call authentic outreach. Using authentic outreach in your business is one of the most important skills that you can learn. It's one of the foundational principles that we teach with transformational selling. It's just being willing to start a conversation with someone, be direct with them in a way that isn't salesy or pushy, not leading with product or price, but leading with problem solving and helping. And when you use authentic outreach as a strategy, what happens is you don't trigger that sales resistance. People don't emotionally shut down. You learn how to connect with people very quickly, but you have a plan that you're executing so you more confidently navigate the conversations. And what winds up happening is you have more quality conversations that create better results in your business. It's that simple. But when we think about this plan for Black Friday, let's start to connect these dots together. Last week, I taught you the content piece. See, these two pieces work together in a really powerful way. You have transformational content and you have authentic outreach. So I want to introduce you to a concept that we call an engaged lead. I want you to go back and I want you to look at your social media over the last week. Any post, doesn't matter what it is. And I want you to look at I want you to count up the number of likes and comments you have on your last 7 days of posts. That is your number of engaged leads. So an engaged lead is somebody that has engaged with a piece of content that you've created. See, the secret to success in really making your business easier to build is trying to figure out how you can create more opportunities for engaged leads. Because if somebody engages with a piece of content, you then use authentic outreach, referencing that specific action that they took as the reason for starting the conversation. Otherwise, you could message anyone, but it might be coming out of the blue. And it's not to say you can't and shouldn't do that. But if it's an engaged lead, if they've taken an action, it's easier for us to have that be the reason why we start the conversation. It also means that there will be an increased likelihood that they respond because they liked or commented because they obviously got some value out of what you shared. So we teach in our program that you should be proactively messaging people using authentic outreach, every single person that likes and comments your post, no matter what the post is. The goal of authentic outreach and the conversation is to qualify them to see if they have an actual need for what you sell, which is what? A problem. Can you help them? And so as you're creating your runway content in the weeks leading up, right? You're creating that transformational content. The reason why that's so critical is because it will help you start to increase the engaged leads you're getting on posts related to what you do. See, this is the big challenge that most of us face. We get way more likes and comments on posts that have nothing to do with our business than the ones that do, because we don't know how to talk about what we do in a way that is more engaging. And so when you start using transformational strategies, talking about your products, how you help, the problems you solve, you get real specific on who you're looking to help. What happens in almost every case is we see people triple, quadruple, sometimes 10x the amount of likes and comments they're getting on their product-related posts. Here's why this is important. It is way easier if somebody likes a post or comments on a post where you're talking about the specific ways that you help people related to your products, the problems that you solve. It is so easy to send a message and lead that conversation in the direction that you want. So much easier than a picture of your cat. A hot lead is somebody that has a need for what you sell. You had dozens of people on this hot leads list ready to buy from you, that you've already created the value for what you do. You're not leading with price and product and looking and sounding like every other person in our profession. You're leading with helping and serving. You're leading with value. And that's the reason why your offer is going to stand out. Buying decisions are made through perceived value. If somebody perceives the value that they're going to get buying from you is greater than someone else, they'll buy from you. And the value that we create comes from our approach to the conversations that we have. You increase the perceived value of someone buying from you by increasing the actual value you give them in the conversations and contents that you create and have. That's an important point. Just let that one sit with you for a second. As always, thanks so much for being here. Love and appreciate all of you. I'll see you soon on the next episode where we'll dive into the third piece of the puzzle, which is coaching and leading your team.